in? No, the pads still use the speed skin material on them. All right, Ultimate Fan Cave just asked the glove, finger stalls or non-finger stalls? So yeah, the glove is the new 591 construction. So working with live and a new sort of tripod for the first time too, so everybody bear with me. So one of the big updates with this glove is basically CCM took their 590 construction, and when I say construction, I should say took the break angle and then applied it to a completely new glove construction with the goal of increasing protection and increasing the closure of the glove. And so I would definitely say CCM accomplished both of those things. But one of the newest features on the glove, which I'm, doing what I do with TGN, I was honestly quite shocked that it basically made it until glove launch without it being leaked. But if you look inside there, right around now, you'd probably see some finger stalls, and that area is completely open. So that's part of the new construction where actually the plastic for the glove padding runs through the palm. And so that should greatly reduce your chance of getting stingers and should increase the protection and then as well the closure. But one thing, it's just definitely very different if you've never tried it on. I mean, you can see, use this glove, 3 to 4 times, maybe more, but I mean, not tons and tons of ice sessions. And you can see how great the closure is. And then double T will be stock. If you follow this, I'm a big single T guy. You can see how beefy and huge that T is. And the glove almost has sort of a mechanical self-closure sort of feeling for it. And for anybody that's not really feeling the 591 break and you're ordering custom, sorry, my watch turned Siri on, but if you're ordering this glove and you're not feeling the 591, you can still get the standard CCM brakes, in a custom order. So if you're a 580 guy or a 590 guy, no issue at all. You can order Access 2 and then just go with a standard glove. But of any piece of equipment I think I've ever demoed to date, I definitely recommend getting to a store if you have the ability to and trying this on, because I have talked to a lot of people that try it on and love it, and some people feel like they miss the finger stalls. So I really applaud CCM for doing something drastically different and really trying to make the glove evolve. I've been saying probably to the gear companies that I talk to frequently for the last couple of years that it feels like since I've been doing TGN, the pads have evolved, the skates have evolved, the blocker, the sticks, the mask. I feel like the glove hadn't changed too much. So really applaud CCM on trying to do something different. And obviously when you do different things, sometimes people are going to love it and sometimes people are going to be a little skeptical of change. So definitely recommend if you have the ability to try it on. And one note too is custom. I order my gear early, so they're basically, very early production runs or even sometimes like late sample runs. And the pinky loop option, which is a custom option, was not available to me when I ordered this glove, but it is something in the customizer now. If you want to try this glove because you like the close and you like the protection, but maybe you're unsure of the finger stalls, I definitely recommend maybe looking at the custom pinky stall, because you can see, no finger stalls there. And what's also really cool is part of the break-in process for this glove is that it is thermoformable. So you're actually going to bake this glove in the skate oven, and you will feel kind of like indentations maybe where your fingertips are, but it'll help break the glove in for closure and then also sort of help seat your hand a little bit compared to a traditional glove with finger stalls. All right, so it's quite a bit on the glove. Hopefully that answered everybody's questions. anything new on the blocker? Yeah, so the blocker actually has a completely new cuff design. So let me grab that and show it to everybody. All right, so I like a really open cuff. So if you see the side profile here, I have this thing opened completely up, but there's basically Velcro here between the back of the cuff and the sidewall of the blocker. And then there's a little tab over here on the outside. So if you like a tighter cuff, you could actually tighten it and make it quite snug. And you can see it's still open in the sense that it's kind of a square shape, but it would feel much tighter on your hand versus the way I wear it is basically as loose as it will let me. So like all the way down like that. You know, I like a wide open cuff. If you followed my reviews, and CCM's did a good job. I want a tight pad in the back of the hand there, and then an open cuff area. And that really means your hand is secure here where you need it to be, but then gives you that full range of motion. So you can see when you have it down that much, you know, you're really able to articulate your wrist nicely. And then again, if you were somebody that wanted it tighter, you know, now I can kind of, I did it a little too tight there, actually popped it open, but you know, now I can feel the cuff a bit more when I'm moving around. So depending on how much you like to feel your cuff and what style chest protector you wear will sort of dictate how you like to do that. So for me, that's the biggest, most noticeable change. And then also I went with sure grip on the palm. But I believe actually stock this year, and CCM, if I got this wrong, sorry, forget some of the options and everything, but I actually believe the standard palm option this year is just a straight up Nash. So being I've been using, you know, Coho, Reebok, CCM gear on and off for a long time, I'm a bit of a traditionalist, so I went with the sure grip style palm. You can see we still have the D30 in the finger. We have elastic style gussets on the rest of the finger stalls there. And then there's a little bit, not too huge, but a little bit of a pillow there inside the thumb. And then my other favorite feature is get the straight finger protection with the bindingless look. That was something I tried to get on a couple generations of E-Flexes and everything, and you couldn't do it. So that is the Axis 2 blocker and a couple of highlights about what's new and what's changed with it. All right, so yeah, if you have any questions, please throw them in the chat below. Would D30 on all 4 digits be overkill? Yeah, probably. I don't know about you, but really only my index finger is the only place I've commonly gotten hit with a puck or a stick with a ramp up. And it does sort of limit the flex in your finger. So your index finger, you know, is generally out straight like that when it's holding your stick. So it's more exposed and it doesn't need to flex, versus these fingers need to flex back, and the D30 would sort of hinder the flexibility there. I'm just scrolling through the chat right now looking for any questions. I'm surprised they don't have a double T. Somebody, 39 Big Steve, commented on that. That's a custom option. I don't like a double T, so I always order a custom single T. So weirdly enough, I don't see too many questions about the pads actually. So I'm just gonna naturally start talking about those, and then hopefully people throw in some more questions. Yeah, so Bone Jack Designs just asked, is Axis more pushing the boundaries for CCM compared to the more traditional E-Flex line? I would say yes, absolutely. Axis was a big change from Premier, which was the pad line it replaced, and then Axis 2 is quite a bit of upgrades. The glove, completely new construction. The pad has the new knee technology, new strapping, and a significantly stiffer core. So CCM, at least as I see it, and this isn't anything CCM's told me, this is sort of my opinion of the way I see it, I definitely see CCM looking to try more things in Axis versus I think E-Flex will be more controlled updates versus Axis will definitely maybe be a little bit more aggressive every time we see the updates. So yeah, I can go through and talk through the knee system. All right, so obviously I would say that we've crossed into the territory of being a trend where more than one manufacturer is looking at ways to stiffen up the knee area. It's sort of first to market, and then it becomes a trend in the industry. So this is CCM's take on what I would definitely call an industry trend at the moment. So what's different about CCM's is they didn't want to make it too stiff, and talking with the team there and why they designed the pad the way they did. So they wanted to give you that enhanced seal and that enhanced stability that you get by stiffening the knee. But they were worried, in their opinion, sometimes you could make something too stiff, and that could actually hurt the goalie's knees. In terms of like biomechanics or physics, the weight on your knees. I said this in pretty much every video. They say you put 2.5 times your body weight in your butterfly, so you weigh a couple hundred pounds. You're putting over 400 pounds in your legs when you go down. That's a lot of stress. So the thought was maybe a little bit of motion is still good in this area. And so you can see it flexes a little bit, but if we were to compare this to Axis 1, it really goes, pretty loose in this area. So what's different though is the knee block itself isn't what's attached in the CCM system. Basically the sliding vessel is all connected. So you can see you can still pop the knee block out, and the knee block itself is kind of constructed how it's always been. But then there's no seam here. So sort of in this area here, this sort of T is basically a one-piece design, and you can see the pad gets its stiffness from this piece connected right here. So you've got Velcro holding everything nice and snug together. Somehow I got a puck mark there, who knows. But when you go down into the butterfly here, you can't really over rotate the pad, and then your body weight will sort of hold it back, so you can't really under or over rotate with this pad. So it definitely is stiff. But if you still want a little bit of flexibility, so it's not too much stress on your joints, or if you want to feel the pad a bit more against the post, say in the RVH position, that's why CCM took the approach to the knee block the way they did. And you can also see they updated the knee, so you've got sort of a triangular molded 3D pattern. And the other thing down here too is it's got a bigger pillow down here as well for balance and for landing in the butterfly. And then the strapping system here is updated as well. You'll see this is Quick Motion Strapping System 2. So this is similar to Quick Motion Strapping 1, but this pad used to be a little bit lower. This has moved a bit higher, and then you can see it's stiffened up a little bit with the strapping here. And I can definitely say, for me, since I've been doing this, I've always said that quick motion strapping has generally been my favorite, where I can just go out and play with it the day the gear comes in, and I don't necessarily run into too many snags, or I'm not constantly tinkering with the strapping. It doesn't take a long time to dial it in. Quick motion strapping is definitely the best iteration that they've had to date. And then you can see as well, this is the way they do the knee. So it's actually inside the knee block here. And then I ordered mine without any outer wing there, and I always go down across the calf. So this is what the strapping system looks like all together. So very clean. And then you still have the nylon strapping here so that there is a piece of the pad that isn't going to give, if you will, and will sort of act, so nothing gets too sloppy. So that is the strapping system. And you can see logo, new aesthetically wrapped around. We've got Gen Pro all the way around, no outer bindings or anything like that. And then this is really cool. One of the new options from CCM this year will be ordering your pads through the Pro department, which is what I was able to do. And for anybody that's really a hardcore gear junkie, you will notice the calf plate here is laced in. That is an option off the Total Custom Only, which means that your gear will actually come off the same assembly line that the Pro gear comes off. So, these pads are made by the same people who assembled Markstrom's gear or Demko's gear or Riddick or any like the CHL goalies, any NCAA goalies using it. So that's pretty cool. And the way you can tell that part is the lacing. And I think I mentioned this before my page, but the lacing itself doesn't actually add really any functionality to the design. There's an NHL rule that the gusset and the calf plate here have to be separated, or the calf wing. So this lacing just really helps highlight that it is a two-piece design and makes getting the pads cleared very easily. So I've been told that's the origin of the lacing, but super cool that you can actually get your gear now off the same production assembly line as the Pros. And I know when people buy Pro stock, they love seeing the Pro lacing. So that is now available at retail if you go Total Custom. As well, I think, I'm trying to think of any other options that were just from that line. All right, I'm going to come back and check out the chat now that we've talked through the pads again a bit and see if there's any other questions here. All right, so Mark asked about the knee we sold. With the pads, I actually got no breaks at all from memory. So normally last year in Axis, I think I did one break below the knee. This year I did no breaks at all, and I can actually show the stiffness and flex the pads a bit. I didn't do that. So Axis 2 is something crazy like, I should have actually had those notes in front of you, but I believe it's like somewhere in the nature of 40 to 60% stiffer than Axis 1. But I've gotten really used to wearing stiffer gear, so I actually went with no break. And you can see, I'm, about, 215 pounds, putting all my body weight on this, and you can see it's, not just completely buckling. I mean, it does have some flex to it, but it's not completely buckling there. And then if we go down to the boot area, you can see how, that boot is pretty soft and flexible there. So you get a little bit of flex where you want it here in the knee, but not too much. And again, this is one stiffness option stiffer than what will be stock at retail. And between the new strapping, which I find has the pad sit a little bit higher up on the leg, and the stiffer core, I will say that it felt like these pads were playing, maybe an inch bigger than my Axis. But I'd also be curious, if I wear them over time and they settle, get a bit more of an S curve in there, as the boot continues to soften up. I'd be curious if I still say I feel like they're playing an inch taller from now after we get some more ice time on those pads. And I've seen a lot of people asking about rebounds. These still have the same foam that was inside the Axis 2, the Max Rebound Plus. So, I'd say the rebounds are probably the same. The seal is definitely noticeably different. Somebody asked rebound compared to Vaughn and Brian. I haven't worn Brian since Optic 2 or Genetic. Yeah, probably Optic 2 is the last that I had. I would say these definitely have better rebounds than that. I haven't used any Vaughn gear, so I can't really comment on how the rebounds compare to that. So, Definitely CCM's pad with the best rebounds for sure. Sliding, sorry, I set an alert on my phone. In terms of sliding, I mean, they definitely slide better than Axis 1, and I think a lot of that is the way that the inner gusset area here, is cleaned up with, there's less seams, and it's also stiffer. Sliding, everybody wants to say it's just the material, and that has a huge part to do with it. But it also depends on like what shapes are used in the gusset area, how many seams, and what types of foam. So this is definitely a stiffer, version of Axis, and as a result, it's going to slide better than the original Axis as well. Somebody asked about rebound velocity as well earlier. It's been a little while since I wore Axis 1, to be honest, so I would say it's good. It's still, in my opinion, I'd say rebounds is probably one category that Bauer's probably leading the industry in that I don't know that anybody's caught them. CCM might be in second place, but it's definitely, like I say, some step forwards from Axis 1 in that regard. All right, so keep firing away. If you have any questions below as I see them come in, I will try and get them to answered. So somebody asked, what are the downsides of this set? So, I've only got, again, I don't remember exactly. I don't have a ton of skates on them. I wore them for a bit. And then I had my league playoffs, which is about the only time I care if I'm winning or losing, and like not doing gear reviews and my head on the ice during the skates. So I did go back to something I had a lot more skates in other than Axis 2, but now I'm in summer skates starting this week, so we'll start to rotate the gear a lot more. So in terms of downsides, like I say, I wouldn't necessarily say the glove's a downside, but it's just definitely different. And so I'd say it has a larger adjustment curve, like a learning curve or time to get comfortable in it, than, if you order a 580 or 590 every time, if you've been using CCM or Reebok product for a long time, that's a really easy transition. The glove does have a different feel to it. And again, like I said earlier in the video, if you get the opportunity to try it on, recommend it, because I definitely think some people are going to try it on and love the new glove. And then some people are maybe going to realize they're more of a traditionalist than they thought and kind of want to stick with the traditional options, which again, are still available at no charge as a custom option. All right, so again, anybody just joining in now, let me know if you have any questions, and I will post this video on YouTube later for anybody who didn't chime in today, but we sort of talked through already the new technology in the glove, where it's, better closure, should reduce stingers the way the new plastic is, as well with that. And then the, design with the no finger stalls. We talked through the new blocker cuff, and then went through as well the new knee construction on the pads, the new strapping, showed the flex profile. So if you have any new questions that you don't feel we've addressed so far, fire away. So Return Like Fall asked, is it a new brake? No, it's not a new brake. It is the classic, Reebok CCM 590 style brake. The reason it's called 591 this year is because the actual componentry that goes into making the glove is different. And so that's why it's called 591 and not 590 this year, is because everything about the glove other than the braking is new. It's all new construction pieces, it's all new tooling, and that's why it's called new. So I know that's kind of confusing. But again, it is that standard 590 brake. It's just built with different componentry versus, that glove was built the same way for probably 20 years, other than, subtle additions like moving the strap location a little bit, adding a double T, adding D3O, whatever some of the changes were. But you can see it closes, very, very easily. And again, I know most people like the double T, even though I like a single, but the pocket on this thing is massive. And I love this rigid plastic spine. I mean, it makes the glove just present huge, and the puck really snaps inside when it hits in there. All All right, so yeah, again, if you've got any questions, just throw them below in the chat and I'll do my best to sort of go through the gear. So ABJE334 wanted to know how they figure out which type of brake they have. So CCM does a great job, you know, and again, goes back to the Reebok days, but there's always some little tag like this, which will tell you what's in it. So you can see this tells you the brake. So I have 591, and then the right says game ready. So if this were a different model glove, it could say like 580 Pro Palm or whatever. Oh, and one thing actually we completely forgot when we were going through the glove, and should probably be a bit embarrassed now, but the backhand is completely different as well. So traditionally there's sort of this lower wrist strap that goes across the back of your palm. And actually kind of a great visual, even though like I'd never play hockey wearing it, but like right where my Apple Watch is sort of exactly where the traditional wrist strap is. And so this cross form strap, you can see there's an X pattern across the back of your hand. And so the purpose of this is that it really can secure your hand into the glove and sort of squeeze it in. But when it comes to sort of how you have your glove and your stance, you're going to play the puck, your wrist area is completely open for your range of motion there. So you can see, you know, I can really bend the glove and I have no strap in there impeding it. And then for tightening, I have 2 points down there and then one across the back of the fingers as well. So you have 3 ways to adjust the crossform strap. And again, hopefully it's coming through in the video. You can see it really gives you a big range of motion for the glove with getting that strap, which would, you know, normally be located somewhere like this. You know, we're getting, and this strap would sort of bind you to the cuff. You know, we're getting that out of there, and that adds a huge increased range of motion. And again, that will help with your glove angle and your stance, and then also, you know, flexibility when you're trying to range of motion, you're trying to play the puck. Is it made in Canada? Nope, it is made in the same factory CCM's been building their retail gear in for quite a while. And I mentioned this earlier, but one of the options at retail now is called, I believe it's called All Out Custom or Total Custom, I forget the name. But if you get that level gear, which will be, you know, an upcharge, you will actually get your gear off the same factory production line as NHL players or CHL or NCAA. So, you know, the same person assembling my gear is the same person who would have done Demko's or Markstrom's gear. Got this question again already, but just to reiterate, the stiffness at the top. So Axis 2, I think the stat is 60% stiffer than Axis 1. Please check CCM marketing literature. I know they'll talk about this. I even went one step stiffer than that, so I have no brakes inside this set of pads. Book a Goalie asks, you know if this is pro custom or custom order? This was a custom order that I placed, and it is, I think it's all out custom, but there's 3 tiers of custom, and this is the option that is the most upcharge, which is the, you know, full custom with every possible available option for it. Sax Man wants to know, what other colors does it come in? Well, I guess you must be new to hockey. There's this thing called a customizer, and you can go online and create these pads using the color zones highlighted by the stitch marks here, and any color that you want. And then at some point in the future, knowing that we're seeing pro goalies and CHL goalies with custom graphics, I would definitely expect CCM to be launching custom graphics, hopefully sometime at retail. I don't know if that's been confirmed or when a date is yet, but if it hasn't been, I would say just common sense. If we see something like that in the pros, I would definitely expect that to be be coming to retail at some time. So should be sick. You know, I definitely love with CCM's rich graphic history from Coho and RBK and Heaton and all these different brands that are in what CCM is today. We've already seen a custom H10. You know, I think a 580 could be sick. You know, a Coho Wah Tribute could be sick. There's so many options to kind of go retro aside from the flexibility to make your own. So whenever CCM launches that, I expect that to be a big hit. Yeah, Book of Goalie, we showed this earlier, but happy to go back and show this again. This is the Pro Custom, and you can see on the calf plate here, I do have that inner lacing set, and that is only available in the Pro Custom. Yep, glove is a 591. BG Design, which has been a huge help to me, helping create some of my content lately with graphics and things like that. Works at a retail shop in Canada, was nice enough to give us the heads up that Access 2 got delayed with the digital. Yes, like I mentioned, I think it's coming. I just don't quite know when. And he's confirmed I'm not the best with release dates, that it's not coming with Access 2. But again, I would think like everybody else watching, we all would expect that to come out sometime. It'll definitely be a welcomed addition when it is. All right, cool. So thanks for joining in. I'll make myself probably available for another 1 or 2 minutes here, just kind of scrolling through the chat. I don't think I'm ignoring any questions that we haven't really answered yet. The only things I'm ignoring are just pricing and like, hey, is this better or worse than Bauer? To be honest, I don't know all of the pricing yet. And I'll, you know, generally just try and compare gear more or less to the gear it replaced. So is Axis 2 better than Axis, or how does it compare to E-Flex? But you know, I always do mention time to time things I like better or worse. And I mentioned earlier that Bauer to me is sort of still the rebound king, but that doesn't mean the CCM's bad. It just means that's an area, say Bauer's the leading, but those are really the only two questions I've ignored. I will post this again, mentioned this before on the YouTube channel. So anybody asking to see a flex video, that's some stuff we've already gone through. Somebody's asking if I think I'm gonna break my slap shot on a thumb. And yeah, I have to say no to that. Not really sure why. You know, you'd think that obviously when you're holding your stick comes out like this and it effectively blocks your thumb. You know, sorry, it's kind of a weird angle, but you know, my fingers here are the paddle. So I'm gonna have this whole sidewall here plus the finger protection. And there is plastic inside the thumb. There's padding on that side. There's a pillow up there. So I'm not sure how my thumb would be so exposed that I break my thumb. I mean, we've all played goalie. We know that pucks always find a way to get places we don't want them to. But I have no fear that like I would break my thumb in an Axis 2 blocker and I wouldn't in a different brand of blocker or anything like that. Somebody asked what's better for closure, double T or single T. I think probably now it would be a double T. I had a mock demo glove recently for the first time, and definitely that's the first double T I really tried on and had for a bit of time. And, you know, I noticed how well that closed, and I think it's because the double Ts are starting to float, off the back of the glove more, versus the single T is a bit more anchored into the break area. So yeah, for my money, I would say if you're worried about best closure, I would do single T. The other reason I would suggest that is that all the brands design their gloves around a double T these days, and a single T is just an option for stubborn guys like me that still like a single T. So all the R&D and innovation, in my opinion, is going into the double T. So if you're between the two, I would definitely recommend that for you. Durno33 asked, will you use the stock toe tie or go aftermarket? I put pro laces on just about every set of pads that I've used, except I would probably swap them on these, but I think on Axis or maybe E-Flex, I forget what. I don't know if I actually did. I think for the elastic stock bungee toe ties, the CCM ones are actually the best. So, you know, I designed my own pro laces. There's a TGN spec you can order through Pro Laces. Love their product. Michelle over there is an awesome guy too, so love to support the brand. So I put Pro Laces on these, but some of the other toe ties, in my opinion, aren't that great. And like you have to put Pro Laces on them so that they function well. The CCM bungees do work pretty well as stock. Take a look, you know, it's a pretty good diameter cord, you know, good elastic, you know, rebounds back into place. So yeah, like I say, I mean, this is a pretty heavy gauge elastic. So if you're concerned with just, you know, it's kind of annoying, you know, you just drop a couple grand on a new set and then you have to go buy toe ties, rest assured that you could probably get away with the CCM toe tie stock. All right, so just a couple more minutes. So please appreciate everybody chiming in, joining. You know, this is awesome. Just let me know any questions that you have and I'll try and answer them. And again, if you feel like maybe I didn't answer your question, just stay tuned. I will be posting this video on YouTube later. And probably your question was just answered earlier. You know, we've been live for probably about 35, 40 minutes by now. So yeah, anybody new coming in, please just type away. Got a lot of people ask how do they slide. So, you know, one of the big changes with this set of gear, you know, is the updated area in here. You know, there's no seam with the knee. The knee is actually attached to the inner gusset. So it's much stiffer here. So between the stiffer materials, and the lack of seams, these definitely do slide better than the original Axis and better than an E-Flex pad. All right, cool. So if we don't get any more last minute questions here, I want to thank everybody again for tuning in. Haven't done an Instagram live video in quite a long time, but thought it might be a nice change of pace to go through Axis 2 instead of just me babbling on with what I think you want to hear. So I really appreciate everybody tuning in. You know, happy to, you know, answer everybody's questions and hopefully let you see what you want to see on the gear if you don't get access to a retail store. You know, I didn't grow up in the biggest area myself, so I had to drive like an hour, hour and a half, depending on what store I wanted to go to look at gear, which wasn't impossible. But at the same point, I know that, you know, not all of us live, like I live outside of Chicago. I have a Pure Hockey like 10 minutes from my house. Pretty easy to go check out gear depending on what's in stock. I know not everybody has that, so really happy to help everybody on that. And we'll close on Aiden Coxey's question. This is the new 591, which is the CCM 590 brake in a new construction. That's why it's called 591, and the closure is great on it. So yeah, we will end on that and check out some further content we create later on. Comparing the gear a bit to Axis 1, and then a review. So this is the GoalNet signing out. Thanks everybody for tuning in.